it costs. Yeah, I hit the ground and it go off. Yeah, hit the ground and it go off. Yeah, run it. Ooh, I really feel it's my time, think it's my year. Yeah.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the morning show. I'm JC Parets. Spencer Israel is not here with us today, so we're going to have an extra amount of fun. I'm here joined with Steve Strazza, of course, the chart master, Alphonse back there. And then on the ones and twos, we got Giancarlo in the house. Shout out San Diego. Hit it, baby. Let's go. It's the morning show. That means hit it, Giancarlo. Such a catchy little tune, huh?
You did pretty good.
That was pretty good, right?
Yeah.
Not bad. I'm good at best man speeches. So if anybody needs a best man to fill in, because you don't have any friends, I'll bring down the house, baby. I'll bring it down.
He likes to talk.
Strazza with the bull market shirt on. Boy, how your attitude changes in a few days, huh? Funny how price changes sentiment.
I was just being honest about what I was observing.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. We got a nice little save here from the Bulls, and you know that things were looking.
Save. We got to save.
Yeah, it was a big save because
that's what we're gonna call it.
Yeah, we were at key levels, and we talked about that. And the Fed did end up being the catalyst to have some of these charts pick a direction off of some critical levels. Small caps for one. NASDAQ digging in, still not a top, right? You don't think so? You don't think so?
The dollar was the catalyst, is the catalyst, will continue to be the catalyst. And as the dollar index was pushing up against new highs, those emerging market currencies were saying, not so fast, right? What is that, Lee Corso? Not so fast. Lee Corso, shout out, not looking great these days, man, which is unfortunate, right?
Neither is Jerome Powell.
I don't look at him, so I couldn't tell you. Is he still the chairman of the Federal Reserve, this guy? Yeah. How long has he been in? What happened to Ben Bernanke? When did they get him out of there?
No, it's been a while.
Has it?
It was Yellen, dude, before it was the current guy.
Dude.
Remember Janet Yellen?
The Paul Giamatti doing Ben Bernanke is some scary shit, man. Right?
In that
what movie is that? Yeah. Too Big to Fail?
I think
it's
so.
One of those. There's like 3 or 4 of them. I forget. They're all kind of the same, but the one with Paul Giamatti.
Yeah, I know exactly.
Oh my God, he's so good, dude. He's so good.
He looks just like him,
dude. And like when he's like, whatever that speech he gives, as like, if we don't do something, this is the end of the financial system. I'm totally butchering what he says, but like that scene that he's like in the boardroom, it's so good, dude. He's such a good actor.
People in the know will tell you that him and who was it? The Treasury Secretary at the time, Paulson, really, saved the financial system in a big way by convincing certain people to bail out the banks when they did.
You know what's so hilarious is that when they did that little roundtable situation back in '98, Strazza was still in diapers. Back in '98. When during the long-term capital management and all the banks were all exposed, they all showed up to bail each other out except for Bear Stearns, right? So that was '98. So then fast forward a decade or so, and Bear Stearns, they let him go. They were the first ones to let go. They're like, oh, where were you 10 years ago? Oh, you didn't want to help out? Well, see ya, right?
What's that book about long-term capital management?
It's called When Genius Failed.
That's right.
When Genius Failed. Great book. Check that out, guys. Especially for you youngsters who might not be familiar with that whole situation. These crises happen on occasion, but if you're always looking for a crisis, you're always going to get your face ripped off like some of these assholes did this week, right? All right, hit it, baby. What's up with little state of the markets?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, ladies and gents, I got to tell you, this is it. This is it. I don't really think there's much else to talk about here. Throw it up. Let's discuss. Throw it up. Throw it up. Give it to me. Come on, Giancarlo. What's going on, buddy? Number 2? Chart number 2? No? Come on, Giancarlo. First timer?
This is the charts. This is a team effort here. Stand by. The charts are letting me know.
First time on the morning show, Giancarlo?
No,
a little too
it's
early for you in
only like
California?
my 4th, and it's early, you know, and we were shooting last week. And
I like how the voice of God comes in with Giancarlo. Right?
Perpetual state of tired over here. Here we go. Charts. Sorry, viewers. Love you guys.
I think this is it. This is it, guys. You know, I hate to keep beating the old dead horse, but the catalyst is. Can you take out that state of the markets up top? Thank you. Why don't you cough louder, Strazza? Make sure everybody can hear you. Why don't you cough a little louder next time? Make sure that they can hear you on the other side of the planet. So you see what's going on here, gentlemen and ladies. It was the dollar. It is the dollar. It will be the dollar until further notice. And we've been pounding the table about the dollar for years, many years. And every time somebody has tried to fight me on it, and I keep receipts, they've all been wrong. And it's not so much about me being right. It's just math, right? It has nothing to do with me, right? It's not like my ego or like my magic wand indicator. Like, it's literally just math. When the dollar is strong, stocks are under pressure. This has been the case since like 2016. And when the dollar is weak, stocks are doing very well.
Are you going to show a chart of the dollar or not?
No. And the reason I'm not is because we're talking about the implications of that dollar. The dollar index peaked on October the 3rd. That was 1 month ago today. That same day, the list of stocks on the New York Stock Exchange, the most important index on this here planet Earth, like I said yesterday, there might be other exchanges like on other planets that might be more important. But for us Earthlings here, the New York Stock Exchange is the most important exchange. So the list of stocks on that exchange making new lows peaked October the 3rd, the day that the US dollar topped. That is not a coincidence. So we got a bounce in stocks, perfectly normal, and then we got a rollover. On that rollover, fewer stocks made new lows on that New York Stock Exchange that I was discussing before. That entire time that the stock market, S&Ps, industrials, NASDAQ rolled over there after the middle of October, the dollar index saw some strength. But emerging market currencies ripped higher. And it just so happens that there just aren't any emerging market currencies in the dollar index. It's 60% euro. So people are shorting stocks because the euro sucks. There's no way to go through life. Come on. So what do you know? You had a bullish divergence in internals on the new lows in the indexes. You had a bullish divergence. There you go. There's the new 6-month low list. Fewer. You could talk about the 3-month lows. You could talk about 1-month lows, all of that. Go back to the 3-panel chart. And you could see that now the stock market indexes got back above those October lows. First, you saw it in the Dow. Then you saw it in the NASDAQ. And yesterday, you finally saw it in the S&P 500. If the dollar is below those October 3rd highs, I think you need to own stocks. If the dollar breaks below 105, I think you need to own stocks very, very aggressively. The dollar getting the shit kicked out of it once again today. If the dollar breaks 105, the face ripper you're going to see in equities is not for the faint of heart. The face ripper that you're going to continue to see in equities, I should rephrase. And that's it. That's it. We've been buying stocks since last week pretty aggressively, buying more stocks today, buying more stocks this week. And if S&Ps and the Dow and the NASDAQ are above those early October lows and you're short, I don't feel sorry for you. I don't feel sorry for you. You deserve what you have coming. That's it. So I think that the opportunities that we've seen over the last couple of weeks to buy stocks, I think, remain in place. Those longs are being rewarded. Shorts are not. And we're going to be looking to continue to put money to work. We had our conference call 2 nights ago on Wednesday evening where we talked about my favorite opportunities. And Strazza, come back here because I think this is a good time to sort of discuss, the ongoing dilemma that we regularly find ourselves in, and that is, in an environment like this where we want to be buying stocks, do we buy the relative strength? Do we buy the strongest areas because they've proven resiliency, or you do some bottom fishing and look for some deep oversold conditions that, looking for that beta chase? I think you do both.
Who are you? Right? Would be my first question.
True.
Do you want the high risk, high reward setup? That would have worked this week, right? If you went dumpster diving in the worst names, if you were just like in an ARK fund, you were up like 15% yesterday.
Yeah, like my United Healthcare, I'm making money. I'm not upset about it, but I'm underperforming. I could have bought anything else and done better probably, right? I took the safe bet. I'm making money. I'm okay with that. But that's just a good example. I mean, there are other stocks that we own, obviously, and we discussed all of them on Wednesday, but this is not the place for that. I have been talking about UNH, so I'll continue to, but yeah.
And you'd be saying the same thing if instead of UNH, you bought one of the big cap tech names, right? They are technically underperforming the juicier, beaten down, non-profitable tech names. But it doesn't work that way every time, right? So I think I said on here yesterday, don't make investing or trading any harder than it needs to be. You could always lean on the leaders in this situation. Yes, maybe you make less, but they're still winning trades, right?
It's true. So this is an important chart. I think this tells an interesting story. I mean, I could have probably maybe reiterated on the chart that October 3rd is when the dollar peaked also, but if you're following us, you know when that dollar peaked, baby. Come on.
Next chart.
Next chart?
John Carr. No, first chart.
Chart 2.
The dollar.
No, go up. Yeah, there you go.
Why? Holy. Yes. So that's it, right? Just like the Fed was the catalyst to have stocks dig in, defend some key levels, and rebound, I think it's also going to be the catalyst for this flag, or JC claims non-bull flag, to finally resolve lower back into this box. That's what the bulls want.
It's taken a long time, man. Bull flags don't take this long. I said it earlier this week.
I don't care. It's a coil.
What do you mean you don't care?
It's a short-term continuation pattern, right? So like rather than
theory,
rather than get stuck on like the actual like textbook explanation, because guess what? Textbooks get things wrong sometimes too, and they get rewritten every once in a while for a reason. Rather than worry about that, it's the essence of the pattern, right? You have a really nice move higher off those lows of the summer, right? So the tactical trend up, there's your flag pole per se, and then just straight sideways, really tight, right above a key base breakout level. Listen, you would err in the direction of the underlying trend and think that a pattern like this, a short-term continuation, breaks higher, but patterns fail all the time. We talk about it on here often, and this one looks like it is failing right now with the dollar. If it were to close right here today, it's trading around 105.30. So the candle actually looks even worse than the one shown in the chart right now. We're at our lowest level since late September, and we would be very much back in that range and below those highs from March that we have marked with the second red arrow.
This would be the lowest weekly close since mid-September.
Yeah,
those keeping score at home, which is not evidence of an uptrend. And I got to tell you guys, I mean, these bull flags, if you will, these consolidations, when they do not resolve in the direction of the underlying trend, look out. Look out. I would encourage everyone to go look at TLT or your favorite treasury bond ETF and go to the summer of 2016 and go take a look at that continuation pattern and tell me how that worked out for the bond bulls, right? That reversal was nasty, boy. and interest rates ripped from there, ripped. And I'm not saying this necessarily looks like that, but it's a good example of when continuation patterns do not resolve in the direction of the underlying trend. So let's do a little morning rundown here before we move on. Dow futures are up 150 points as this rally continues. Classic strength in November. We've seen it for 100 years. If anybody is surprised by the behavior of the market, you are not paying attention. You haven't studied history. It's uncanny just how normal behavior this market is. S&P 500 up 20 sticks, about 50 basis points. NASDAQ 100 up 50 points, about 40 basis points. Bond futures up again, up 1.3% on 30-year futures. Gold up 2%. Excuse me, gold up 1%. Silver up 2%. Copper up 40 bips. Oil up 1%. Natural gas up 1%. Dollar getting the crap kicked out of it. With the euro up almost 1%, and the volatility index coming down to 15 on the volatility index, and the U.S. 10-year yield down to 4.5% as bonds are ripping in everybody's face. So, people might say unemployment or the Powell or the Trump, or I don't know what they're saying. I'll just go back to, basic arithmetic and normal seasonal trends just coming into play like we've seen so many times before. No big deal, right?
The S&P 500 is having its best week of the year, and it's not alone.
Isn't this the most bullish week of the year?
I don't think
seasonally.
So. I don't think not exactly.
It's like the best 10-day period or best 6-day period, something like that.
We got to get Jeff back on here.
Get Jeff or Dietrich or one of these cats, but nevertheless, whether it's the best week of the year or the second best week of the year, the third, doesn't matter. This is seasonally a great time of the year for stocks, and stocks are certainly showing that. So, we could debate back and forth as to why stocks are moving so well, but we know why. The dollar's getting the crap kicked out of it, and there's nothing more bullish for stocks. I mean, we say it every single day. Perfectly normal. Why don't you hit that crypto Friday bumper there, Giancarlo?
Oh, I got a thing to talk about for crypto. Let's try this, Giancarlo.
Yeah, hit it, baby.
Okay, I was watching CNBC yesterday, and I got to say, on a day where SBF is indicted on all 7 charges, we've had a lot of crypto crazies kind of come and go over the past several years and try to be kind of spokesman for the space. And one by one, they kind of fall to the wayside. I think Michael Saylor's the best thing you got, for your laser eye people. I think he comes on and he speaks about Bitcoin in a very intelligent and practical way, right? He's not one of these crazy laser eyes people. He comes on and the stuff he says really makes sense, not just for MicroStrategy. Does a great job explaining their business and what you get as a MicroStrategy shareholder. And I just wanted to play this clip because I really do think that him, maybe Brian Armstrong, a few other guys are really emerging as the true leaders in crypto as we move forward in this space. I'm going to share my screen here and try and play a clip of this video. Here we go. You good, Giancarlo? Throw it up.
I see it. Here we go.
Volume up. No, we can't get it.
Hear it? Hold on.
Currently do not hear it.
No. Well,
we'll drop the link in the chat.
Good effort. Good effort. At the end of the day, basically, he's saying the same thing that he said for a long, long time, kind of just reiterating in a very nonchalant, almost like annoyed way. Like, oh, am I still saying this over and over again? He said it gives you exposure to things like gold, except without the risk of gold.
No.
It gives you the exposure to tech without the risk of tech stocks.
Oh, so they said, what is Bitcoin? And I thought his answer was great. It's digital gold without the risks and liabilities of gold. It's digital real estate without the risks and liabilities of commercial real estate. It's a digital tech stock without the risks and liabilities of big tech. And we say that all the time. Saying it's just a tech stock, right? Or for gold people, right, who want to think it's an inflation hedge or something like this, it's digital gold for you.
If you think gold is an inflation hedge,
Whatever.
you
Doesn't
need
matter.
to retake third grade math.
Here's what I want to mention, though. He said, in terms of the spot Bitcoin ETF, right? Because they asked about it, and he said, of course, it's a great thing. That's the clip I was trying to play. He talks about how it will usher in a required institutional understanding, right? And at least some level of intelligence for Bitcoin and for crypto among institutions. That'll be a really good thing. And it's just obviously going to bring more institutions, onto the playing field. Then he kind of said, but hey, us at MicroStrategy, look, we don't charge a fee. I love this. He said, we use intelligent leverage. In other words, we borrowed at very low rates, collateralized by our Bitcoin, and now we're just buying Bitcoin aggressively still, right? So he's so right about that. What they did was great. The timing and execution of that loan was excellent. And we can create a tax-deferred Bitcoin premium for our investors. So we are actually a pretty attractive alternative to a spot Bitcoin ETF. Sounds like, kind of stuff that we've been saying for a long time on here. I think he explains it as well as anybody, as he should. But great interview. We always talk on here like, he's either going to be a hero or a zero when we're all done with this crypto thing. I think it's looking better and better for him every day.
Are we going to be done with the crypto thing?
No, just
Is
like
this something that will conclude at some point?
No, I don't think so. I think when we look back 10 years, though, we'll know where Michael Saylor stands. Look, they made him.
Are you and me laser eyes now?
No, I'm not laser eyes. What do you mean?
I don't know. I'm a little lasery these days. No?
I think Bitcoin's going to 100,000. I don't think it makes me a laser eyes.
100,000. There we go. Throw up slide 7, Giancarlo. Come on now. New 18-month highs. How many assets making new 18-month highs? Come on. You can't name one. Go.
18-month highs. Yeah, beautiful. Looks good.
Can you name any asset on planet Earth making new 18-month highs? Like real asset, not like orange juice futures, but like real assets. Right? Nothing? Nada? Zippity-doo-dah. Nothing.
The stat people are having a good time out here these past few days. You're going to see some crazy stats out there on the internet.
What stats?
I saw one yesterday that was like, when the S&P or when small caps rebound and are up X% in 3 days, less than 3 months after 10% dip, the index is higher 100% of the time 12 months later. Those kinds of stats. But really what those stat people are trying to explain to you is that this is bullish price action. That's just another way of saying it, right? They find these cute little studies to do and give you 100% win rates. It looks really, really attractive. But really, we were thrusting yesterday. We had like close to 90% up day. I was telling JC on the phone, like 3 industry groups were red. It was just like all green on the screen. Monster moves from the most beat up stocks, like just exactly what you want to see when markets trying to establish some sort of a correction low here. Look, I think a lot of people got sucked in about a month ago when it looked like we were kind of making a correction low. A lot of people, myself included, got excited about that bullish candlestick, and it fizzled. It fizzled fast. So this is now another shot, and we'll see. But so far, so good.
Yeah, I think that October was not accompanied by any divergences. There weren't any momentum divergences. There weren't any breadth divergences. Momentum and breadth were still on the way down. This time is the opposite. This time breadth diverged tremendously. And also, I mean, getting back to the Bitcoin, I don't necessarily think that Bitcoin making new 18-month highs is bearish for equities. Like, how bullish is it? I don't know. But I wouldn't classify it as bearish for equities at all. So I think that's interesting for sure. All right. So why don't you throw up the Bitcoin and Ethereum chart there? Right? Ethereum not quite making new 18-month highs with Bitcoin. Go to the one under that. Go to the flippening chart. This one really stands out to me, Strazza. Wouldn't you think, even me, I would have thought that if Bitcoin was doing this, you would not be breaking to new multi-year lows in Ethereum relative, right? I would not have made that bet.
We've
I mean, I
seen weird things.
didn't make that bet. So
We've seen different things from this ratio in different cycles. Look, Ethereum maybe not great. Solana's outperforming.
bro, this is the lowest monthly close in ETH BTC since, ready? April of 2021. That's 30 months ago, right? For you math majors out there, what is that, 30 months? 30-month lows for ETH relative to BTC. Would you have thought that as we break out to new 18-month highs in the BTC? I wouldn't have guessed that.
Don't overthink that ratio. I don't know. It's fine.
And then another thing, I don't overthink the ratio. Going back to slide 3, Giancarlo. Go back to slide 3 there. We went over all the altcoins and everything on the conference call on Wednesday. We looked at all the internals of cryptocurrency. So if you are looking to get more information and more trade ideas in cryptocurrencies, email us. Spencer will send you the link so you could rewatch and download the slides from Wednesday night. So all of that is there. So I don't want to dive too deep into the weeds there, but there are opportunities in the altcoins, no doubt. We got a question from One Hole. Does JC follow the yen closely due to the 25% in the dollar index, or does he follow the individual components? Well, to be clear, One Hole, the yen is nowhere near 25% of the dollar index. It's actually half of that. And yes, I follow the yen closely. And while we joke all the time that we don't want to overthink the dollar too much, especially the dollar index, we like to kind of weigh the evidence much more than just the dollar index. If you're not going to if you're trying not to overthink currencies, you definitely don't want to overthink the yen. The yen is the one that you don't want to overthink. It's like the most, be like, the yen, don't overthink the yen. Yes, I follow the yen very, very, very closely. It is arguably the second, third most important currency, right? Second, third, fourth, depending on who you ask. But I think we can all agree the yen is one of the most important currencies. And that's what that looks like to me. So, no, I don't want to overthink that. Strazza, shall we? You got anything that you want to discuss here?
Yeah, I do.
All right.
Hut Mining, 8K, stood out this morning. Receives court approval for a stalking horse bid for 4 natural gas power plants in the North Bay Bitcoin mine. It's funny because now for these Bitcoin miners, you have 8Ks that sound like gold miners or like oil and gas companies. They're like buying plants. And so 4 natural gas power plants for Hut Mining. What are they doing?
I do want to mention here, I'm going to throw up the Hut Mining chart so you can see what's going on here. I'm going to throw it up there for slide 2 there, Giancarlo. So for Hut Mining, it's funny that you mentioned the miners because yesterday when Michael Saylor actually listened to it, it's funny because you had mentioned it in the Slack, I think, and then I was slipping on YouTube and that clip came up on YouTube and I was like, oh shit, this is what Strazza's talking about. I actually listened to it last night.
Yeah.
And, one thing he mentioned is that the miners are selling $1 billion worth of Bitcoin every month, right? Because these are the miners, so they have to sell their Bitcoin so they could pay for electricity and utilities and keep the lights on so they can keep mining, right? And after the halving, which is in April, I believe, or March, April, I think, then that goes from $12 billion of annual supply by the miners to 6.
Yeah.
So there's $6 billion less of supply, more demand, all at the same time. To Saylor's point, not bearish.
You know what the miners kind of remind me of? They're like the treasury, right? Like they're the sellers. They're like the issuers of the Bitcoin. They bring the supply to the market, just like the treasury issues treasury bonds. And then the buyers got to show up and match it.
I know, but isn't the treasury often buying those bonds as well?
The Fed is the buyer.
Oh, God, these are 2 different things.
They work together.
All right. Listen, Giancarlo, why don't you play play the bumper for our guests and bring in Mr. Braden. What do you say? Yo, Jay, we've been friends for a long time. Make the call.
I mean, this is pretty professional, guys.
Nice show you got going here.
Braden.
Gentlemen, how we doing?
How's it going, Braden?
Yeah,
thank you for joining us. You're doing great work out there. Great work, and we appreciate that. And we'd like to bring people on to the show as our audiences notice that are doing great work out there, and you're included.
And he falls into like the Rob Koifman category. We like to bring our friends on who make the platforms or softwares that we use on a day-to-day basis. Like, come on, talk about them because we love these tools and they help us in our day-to-day. So Braden, correct me if I'm wrong, founder of both Stratosphere.io, which we are big users of, and FinChat.io. So why don't you spend a minute just telling people what those services are and what you guys offer?
Yeah, first off, thanks for having me. This is an epic production. I wasn't sure what I was stepping into here, but this is sweet. So FinChat and Stratosphere are both the products of my holding company, Stratosphere Technology, Inc. Now, we did make an announcement last week that we're actually going to merge the platforms together. So they're all going to be under the FinChat name. It's kind of a 1 + 1 = 3 situation where FinChat was a complete experiment. And to give you some context, I had been working on Stratosphere, which is like a financial data terminal product, fundamental research. I had been working on it for 2.5 years. And the user base that we achieved in 2.5 years, FinChat achieved in like 16 hours. Literally not even
funny how life works,
full day. Yeah, it's kind of a power law type thing, right? Like it just went pretty viral outside of the market that I had been exposed to before. Like huge growth in China, India, Europe, the US. Like it was crazy to see that kind of explode overnight. But yeah, so to step back a little bit, they're fundamental research platforms. So for people who are, buying and typically holding equities for, a period, I'd say, of like more than 3 years is like a good fit for who's using the platform, just given the fact that the data in there is really fundamental focused, the way it's laid out, the graphics, the charts, the KPIs. People really want to understand the business deeply and dive in.
Explain what, the focus on KPIs, right? That's really what attracted me to Stratosphere.
Yeah.
We have so many
how do you determine? There's so many companies. Like, how do you determine? Like some are obvious, right? Maybe not obvious to me because that's not my wheelhouse, but to those who pay attention, it's very obvious. But when you're going down the cap scale, like who the hell knows, right?
Every industry group has like its thing, right? In tech, there's a lot of like active user counts that matter.
It's individual by individual. So I'm curious to see how he does it.
Go for it.
Every single company is done bespoke, and the reason for that, and I wish it wasn't like I wish that didn't have to be like that. But the main rationale for that is, let's look at a perfect example that we all know. Okay, so Microsoft Cloud is broken out as like one of their segments. So we break out company KPIs and revenue segments. Easy example of that is like a company KPI is Netflix subscribers. So the stock only moves on subscribers. No other metric matters. It's subscriber results and forward-looking subscriber growth. Literally, the stock doesn't move on anything else. It dropped 37%, $100 billion in market cap in Q2 of 2022 because they had their first net loss of subscribers in their history. Revenue is up like 10%, but is an absolute disaster because subscribers are down. A company segment is Microsoft Cloud. Okay. But Microsoft Cloud, if we do a comp against Amazon Web Services, is not like for like. Microsoft bundles in tons of stuff beyond just the Azure platform.
Yeah.
They bring in, commercial seat growth of, some services that they have, whereas AWS is pure play on Amazon. And so if you look at these like broad industry KPIs that the industry reports, like if we're looking at trucking or something, they'll bring in like, efficiency metrics on like ton miles or something like that. Those are broad industry KPIs that are well understood, but they're all reported differently. And when you see companies consolidate them and do industries, they're doing a lot of estimations. They're doing a lot of, trying to fit square pegs in round holes, which is fine because that's the constraints that we're in. But we've gone through and just said, no, we're going to report as is for every company, bespoke. We have 3 full-time equity analysts that are determining what those company KPIs are, and then using our technology to aggregate it and verify the accuracy.
And Braden, correct me if I'm wrong, but you have real accountants doing this work for you, right? Which is one thing I like a lot.
Yeah, my COO who runs our data team is a CPA, full trained CPA.
Yeah.
And I found him on the internet. It was funny. I thought I love the moment. I love the internet moment. I thought he was going to be just somewhere random in the world, right? He was writing these awesome equity research reports. He had this really good one on Lululemon. It was like 40-page essay on the company into everything about the business. And I was like, dude, this is epic. Just sent him a DM. Like, yeah, you want to chat? Steve JC, I kid you not, he lived like a 9-iron from my house. You can't make this stuff up.
That's
and so, we basically met the next day. I was like, can you quit your job right now? And that's how it went.
Wow, that's actually really interesting. Historically, we've hired employees that are, users of our platform, that are, they've come to us, right? Across the board, Strazza included. Everybody except for Sean. I actually was the one who reached out to Sean, but Sean and I had already been friends for a while. And that's really how it works. But I've never seen what you just told me, how they ended up living right next to you. Usually, I mean, we got guys in New Zealand, and
all over.
we had one in Moscow, and India, Canada, Venezuela. I mean, none of them live in Eastern Pennsylvania. So,
well, JC, that's because you are a recruiter of good talent and recruiter of good people, right? Like most really good companies and good cultures are built, like the first 15, 25 employees are recruited, not hired. That's like a big difference in terms of the way to like think about building a company in the first 25 employees. Is if the founders are actively recruiting talent that they know exists, that understands them, is a lot different than, hey, let's post this job and, see who applies. Like that's a completely different way of building
and we
a company.
keep our crew together also, we've noticed, because this is the job that they wanted. And I mean, over the years, I can think of maybe like 1 or 2 people who no longer work here. And it's like, all right, bye, Felicia. See ya.
Yeah, exactly.
Braden, give us some awesome examples of, KPIs or segment revenue metrics that really matter for companies. Walk us through kind of, some of the things that you look at. I know you have a bunch of examples.
Yeah, I'll use an example of a company I own, Intuitive Surgical, which is, one of the largest med tech companies. They're the leader in robotic assisted surgery. So,
it's like robot dentists.
Robot dentists, but robot surgery. So they're doing like knees and hips, basically.
Okay.
Yeah. So the surgeon basically will operate the robot, right? So we've gone from the surgeon operating to the surgeon operating via a robot and knowing how to use it, and being trained on it and all that stuff. Now, that business, the thing that really matters for it is the installed base of surgical systems installed in the hospitals. Because if they install, 250 of these a quarter, every single one of them is generating several $1 million in high margin recurring software and instruments revenue time and time again. So once that thing is installed, it's the true razor and blades, like no pun intended. It is literally razor and blades once one of these surgical systems is installed. So the installed base number, which is now over 8,000 in hospitals, that number just continues to grow. And I bet you if you overlaid it over this chart, they would look identical. in terms of the growth of the stock and the
Yeah.
share price and intrinsic value of the business, and that core KPI of them getting an installed base. Because like I said, they make some money on installing these surgical systems, but it's really after the life cycle of one of these things as they need to keep buying more instruments and services related to that at an infinitely higher margin as well.
And you could see, I just pulled it up here. The
100 billion market cap for those keeping track at home.
The recurring revenue has really just blown up, gone 3-4x over the past few years. And you can also look at it as a percentage of revenue. You guys have all this broken out. You got to explain what this is. Da Vinci Systems installed base. Is that what you're talking about? Da Vinci procedures, Ion procedures.
Yeah, the main ones are like installed base. Da Vinci's their the name
That's
of the
it. Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
So installed base, recurring revenue, and then actual surgeries performed. So you'd see that it just dropped right off a cliff in 2020.
Yep.
Right. And basically no elective surgeries were being performed whatsoever, basically for like a quarter and a half there, 2 quarters, depending on the jurisdiction. So it dropped right off cliff, but it came back with a vengeance. Like, it kind of looks like a KPI for like Airbnb's like nights booked on the platform. Yeah. It looks very similar to that.
Braden, can we talk about AI? You're meshing everything together, which is smart. It was advice I was given early on that was right. Don't dilute the brands. Like for what, right? I think you've come to that conclusion as well pretty quickly. So kudos to you. How is AI playing a role? How does the chat play a role? Why don't you talk to me and the audience a little bit about that?
Yeah, am I able to share my screen on here?
I think so.
Let me unshare.
Okay.
Yeah, that middle share screen. You got that?
Yeah.
Let Braden share his, Giancarlo.
I just tried to share. Let me know when it's
Go
going.
one more time, please, Braden.
What's that, sorry?
Hit that button one more time, please.
All right, will do. How about now? Any guys there?
Is that working for you?
I don't know. It seems like I'm sharing it. I don't know if you can see it.
Let me see it in my window. Oh, here we go, Braden.
Nice.
Yeah, beautiful. Okay, so I just pulled while you guys were talking there, we were talking about the Intuitive Surgical recurring revenue. And I was like, I just asked FinChat, what is Intuitive Surgical's recurring revenue? And so
nice.
it'll bring that out. It'll give you growth rates. It'll give you up to the latest year or latest quarter. And then it automatically knows, I'm talking about this. Let's bring it in a graph. So I can get this annually. I can get this quarterly. I can show percent change over top. I could do data labels. And then it also breaks out how much percentage of recurring revenue is total revenue. So it's up to 80% on the latest year. Let's go most recent quarter. 86% of revenue is now totally recurring. And this speaks to that kind of operating leverage of the business. And so I'll talk about the AI for a second, but just to show you a perfect application of these types of metrics, this is a company trading at, extremely expensive multiples. It demands extreme multiples, talking well over 30 EV to forward EBITDA. And that brings volatility. I mean, this is the nature of the game. If you buy growth stocks, like you're signing up for volatility, you're signing up for 25, 30% drawdowns. And so it's really nice to look at that data and go, all right, my thesis is playing out exactly as I said, because when markets draw down 25%, narratives about the business get fabricated out of thin air. And so it really helps to kind of sit back and go, yeah, you know what? My thesis on this business is tracking exactly as I set out. And so that's really powerful. So AI, well, I just showed you a perfect example there. People love the ability to use their natural language and very unrefined thoughts to come out with refined thoughts. Like, how amazing is that? Like you're just complete. You have like this kind of half-baked idea, and you come out with a fully baked idea. FinChat will build discounted cash flow models for you using forward institutional estimates. It will create earnings summaries for you. It will screen through 57,000 active listings. If I say, hey, I want US stocks growing at X%, trading at less than this PE at 52-week lows right now, and it'll give you that list.
That's fundamental screener.
Yeah.
And then can you talk about the data itself, where the data is coming from? Are you able to talk about that?
So the segments and KPIs we just talked about, that's us, because we realized there's a huge gap. We're like, how does no one have Netflix subscribers in an API endpoint? Like that seems so instrumental to us. So we started doing it ourselves. And then the rest we license from S&P Market Intelligence. So it's institutional quality.
The revenue, the earnings, the basic fundamental stuff you're getting from a data provider, a very well-known one. Everybody uses that. And then for the more detailed stuff, you guys are literally going through the financial statements yourself and pulling those numbers and putting in your own little database. It's fantastic.
We built an entire
how come nobody else is
program
doing
to do
this,
it.
Braden? Nobody else is doing this. Nobody cares. Like, you guys are just crushing. And
a lot of work. I think that might be the easiest answer, right, Braden? It's just a lot of work to go through all these reports and pull these numbers.
I think about this all the time. Because so segments are pretty widely available. They won't let you relicense it, but like you can get them on Capital IQ's platform and stuff. The thing about the KPIs is I think that it doesn't translate well enough to their Excel add-ins where their customers live, because it's really hard to comp Microsoft Cloud versus Amazon Web Services. Or, one company reports gross payment volume, and then their competitor only does gross transaction volume and has it's a different number. Or, we do gross merchandise volume on Etsy, and Shopify, they do gross merchandise volume, but say they do gross something else volume, right? Like they don't slot well into Excel add-ins.
They're not standardized metrics, right? Every company defines their own KPI and reports it as they wish.
And they change and they get discontinued. It's a huge pain in the ass. Like,
remember
there's
Nike?
No question about it.
Remember Nike with the futures orders? That was like you're saying about Netflix subscribers. It used to be Nike futures orders. Nobody cared about earnings. Nobody cared about revenues. Futures orders. And the CFO said, forget it. No more futures orders. They cut it off.
Yeah.
Braden, Strazza uses AI to pick out his shirts for the morning. So he,
I say I need a bull market shirt, and it tells me the floral one hidden in your closet.
That's a bull market shirt.
Did you buy that in Thailand? How much did that cost?
This was about $12 in Thailand. It's silk.
Dude, wow. You really bet the farm. $12 on that shirt. I was in Thailand buying silk shirts for $6. You didn't bargain hard enough.
Ripped off.
I
know.
You didn't bargain hard enough.
I wasn't negotiating enough. I almost felt bad negotiating because everything was so cheap the way it was.
I know, but that's half the fun, right?
Yeah, you are supposed to do that.
That's what my wife says. It's half the fun. I'm like, let's get the hell out of here before they change their minds. What do you mean? What do you mean? My wife's like haggling for like 50 cents. I'm like, let's go. She's going to smack you. Like,
one point,
yeah.
Sean was haggling with somebody in Thailand. We were at like one of the big tourist places with all the temples and stuff. And he's haggling. And I don't think he like was very like was conscious of the exchange rate as he was doing it. So he walked away. I said, Sean, you do realize you were arguing over like a dime, right?
That's exactly the conversation I had with my wife. That is in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. Quickly, Braden, what's coming next? Can you talk a little bit about what you're working on?
Absolutely.
Very
So
curious.
we're combining the two platforms. So, like I said, FinChat was an experiment that paid off. Like, what happens if people can just chat with the platform and spin it up under a new domain? Because we didn't want to risk people don't like it or something like that. So it was very experimental, but people like it clearly. So we're going to bring over the Stratosphere platform onto FinChat, all the features, so that when I do search that prompt that I just had, I'm able to click in right through the terminal interface and then dive in deeper and be in that world. So it's all going to be connected very well. It's a bit of a 1 + 1 = 3. That's our big thing. Yep. And then the second big initiative is we launched the FinChat API. So brokers and investment research platforms, trading apps, those kinds of, the Robin Hood of country A, B, and C can all build a chat bot for their users using our infrastructure on their platform. So that's the B2B side of the business that
Like
just
a
felt like a
broker?
natural fit.
A broker could plug in, create a chatbot on their website that's sourcing the data from yours.
Yeah, it's a
cool.
bring your own data solution for a lot of reasons, because they want a lot of flexibility and customizability. So they literally just use our infrastructure to make sure that the data, it's confined to the data set. It doesn't hallucinate, and it's optimized for handling real-time financial
That
data.
makes sense. Wow. You know, really, for me, it's this tool. I'll just, if I could explain how we use it. We have an analyst team, the best in the business, many of which are CMTs. And when JC and I want to dive beneath the surface or have a question, hey, what are the best looking semiconductor stocks? We say, Alfonso, can you dive through and look through like 500 tickers for us and tell us the best names? We don't have fundamental guys, though. We built our business as a technical shop. So for me,
Right.
I have my own research assistant now. I'm, wondering, how was this earnings report? How did Coinbase do? I just ask FinChat, boom, it lets me know. It's like my own little research team. It's fantastic. It really makes things so easy, especially around earnings, especially around company
That's a
fundamentals.
good point, Braden. Anything on the market behavior front? A lot of this stuff is fundamentally oriented, and the KPIs and all that's super interesting.
You mean like
There's a lot of different ways to measure
Sentiment?
the behavior of the market. It's not just squiggly line up, squiggly line down. There's a lot more to that. Market breadth, things like that. Anything on the horizon there?
It's on the horizon for sure. It's on the product roadmap in terms of like bringing in those kinds of factors and understanding it. Like if you ask those kinds of questions on market sentiment, it might provide like some macro, because you have like a lot of macro indicators in there. But to answer your question, no, it's not in there at this point. We just wanted to nail fundamentals first, and then we know within the next year bringing in technicals makes complete sense, and those kinds of sentiment indicators, we can scrape that stuff pretty easily. So
well, Braden, please
it makes perfect sense.
Please use me and our squad. You want to bounce some ideas off of us, get new ideas. We are at your disposal. Use us, because we'll use you. So we want to help you.
Sounds
help
good.
us, right? You see how this works?
Send
No, that sounds great, because we are complete noobs when it comes to anything technical.
I think adding some market breadth stuff will be amazing. And easy, like you said, and sentiment is part of it. Market breadth is a big one, very underrated. The composition. I think a lot of investors don't understand what's in the indexes and ETFs that they're looking at. So helping investors understand what's driving certain things, like that 60% of the dollar index is the euro, but understanding that there are emerging market currencies as well, understanding how different the New York Stock Exchange is versus the NASDAQ, understanding that, what's in the S&P 500 is only 4% energy, 30% tech, right? The Dow Jones Industrial Average is 21% healthcare. Like investors just don't know these things, right? Like we do this every day. There are people who do this every day like us that also don't know these things, right? And I think that could add a lot of value, incorporating the composition of things, bringing it back to this being a market of stocks versus a stock market, I think could add a lot of value to investors.
No, totally. I think breaking those, for sure, we already have all that kind of like index data, like index composition stuff. Like that should be easy for us to bring in. So yeah, no, I just wrote a bunch of stuff down. I think we can bring all that stuff in probably within the next 6 months.
Pick our brains anytime you want. We're happy to help.
Absolutely.
Just keep coming back on the show. That's it. And
dude, just send me. Yeah, Strazza, just send me that Twitter DM, and I'm here.
We should do this like every earnings season. Have you come on, talk about some KPIs and stuff.
It's always earnings season. I feel like when is it not earnings season? It's like this never ends. And by the time it ends, it starts again. It's like what?
The second and third Thursday, like yesterday and the previous Thursday, it feels like every but there's still some heavy hitters coming in. Do we still have Apple coming in?
They happened, or they're happening. They happened yesterday.
Was it yesterday?
It was yesterday.
Yeah, I guess so.
Which one? Which stock?
Apple.
Oh, the old Apple. Oh, that old thing.
That old thing.
Down a couple of.
There's a really good. I don't know if you guys, yeah. So Apple 11, yeah, it was yesterday. So I figured the second Thursday of the season. If I'm able to share my screen again, this is a pretty
Do it.
slick earnings calendar on
Throw it up,
Stratosphere.
Carlo. Ooh, we should use this. Will you guys?
Yeah, use this earnings calendar. It's institutional too. You can copy the data. You can customize the time frames. But you say I just wanted to say today or
sweet.
Yesterday.
Yeah.
You can specify the tickers. What's going on.
Now you're
next
just
week.
showing off, Braden. You're
No,
just showing off.
I didn't know about this, so I'll use this for the show. This is great. This makes things easier.
Yeah, it's 100% free too, by the way. Like stratosphere.io/earnings calendar.
Be great if I could put in the actuals and estimates here.
So all of this is now going to be on finchat.io in the next week or so, something like that.
November 30th.
November 30th. All right.
Yeah.
That's the big day. Are we having a party?
I mean, we should. I think we should. I'm flying down.
Where are you
a bunch
located,
of people from my
Braden?
team. I'm in Toronto.
Oh, good old Canadian. We love Canadians around here.
Yeah.
We do.
Guys, are you still in the Keys? Is that where you are?
The opposite of Canada.
You can't tell by the shirt.
Yeah. I'm heading down. I just booked my flights down to Florida. My folks live down there, so I'll be down there in Cape Coral area if you're familiar.
Where's that?
It's like just north of Fort Myers.
Oh, West
yeah,
Coast.
nice.
Lovely.
Yeah, West Coast on the Gulf. Yeah.
Lovely.
It's lovely though this time of year. Nice little sunset, nice and warm, good, nice beaches, quiet.
Yeah.
I like it over there.
I'm the youngest.
Beautiful.
I'm the youngest human there by like 30 years, but
no
it's
question. But you know that going in though, you're not going in there to party and like meet girls. Like that's not what you're there to just chill out.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
That's it. All right, Braden, go do your thing. Go keep building good stuff. We like it.
Thanks a lot, Braden.
All right, thanks, fellas.
Adios.
Shoot me a message anytime you wanna hang out.
We'll talk. Sure. I'll be in touch.
Okay. All right, bye-bye.
Finchat.io. Everybody check it out. I got to make my way up to Toronto soon. I haven't been to Toronto since 2018, Strazza. That's 5 years.
Well, that's why I thought, I put him in touch with Howard. I said, these are two Canada, tech guys. They got to talk.
Have you ever been to Toronto, or is this one of those like on your banned list, like Chicago, that you refuse to go to?
No, I've been to Toronto. I love Toronto. Toronto's great. Yeah, I've been there.
Great town.
Multiple times. Yep.
Good eats too. Good eats at Toronto.
Yeah, really?
Hell yeah, man. Dude, Toronto, very diverse. You know what happens is that a lot of people around the world that want to live in the United States can't get into the United States, but it's easier to get into Canada. Right? And if you live in some of these parts of the world, it's like, well, what the hell's the difference? Anything's better than this. If I have to live in Canada, that's, right? And so you get just a lot of migration. So just a lot of different countries around the world. And people just show up and start making good food. Yeah, man, you leave a Blue Jays game. Like you literally leave the Blue Jays game, just go walking down the street and there's like all kinds of restaurants from all over the world. They do it right, man. These Toronto people.
So just to come full circle, some questions in the chats. Yeah, KPI is a key performance indicator. It's like it's like a nuanced metric that is unique or specific to a company.
Who came up with that? It was one of these CEOs. Was it an Intel?
No, it's an accounting term that's been used forever.
No, I know, but it started like all that sort of stuff started with a CEO at a company.
We learned about it in business school. You're right. Maybe that IBM guy.
Like in the 80s or early 90s or something like that.
Famous IBM CEO. What was his name?
Maybe. I'm not sure who it is, but it was definitely it's definitely like a master's program thing for sure.
I remember.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is with bad companies is that they're always changing their KPI because they can't meet any goals, and we see that all the time.
Dude, good fucking memory, JC. Andy Grove of Intel.
Look at that. Come on now. How about that? One for me. One for the old man.
You have a freakish memory though. It does, and it helps you because you literally remember when you talk about a chart, you like exactly remember.
I could see it like in my head.
Weird, man. You must have been a good test taker.
No, but I have good memory for certain things and other things that I don't have a good memory for. Like I'm good with maps.
I knew you were going to say that.
I'm good with maps. So the maps helps me understand like the wine world when I take wine exams. You know what? I got a confession to make. You want to know what an asshole I am?
I do. Yeah, I know.
I had to submit my application to sit for the advanced sommelier exam, right? Because I'm a certified som, but I want to continue my studies, and I've been working over the last few years, consulting for some hotels, so that I can meet my hours. You know how like to get a CPA, you need certain hours or whatever. It's like that in wine too for the advanced. The application was due on the 1st, and I didn't submit it. So now I have to wait a year to submit my application again. Doesn't that suck? But I think I saved myself $100 because they send you like a test, and I wouldn't have done well on that test.
I was just going to ask, were you even going to pass?
No.
You've been
Well, I'm definitely not going to pass the exam, but in order to you apply, they send you a test, you take the test, and then they accept you to go into the course. And that's really all I want. I don't even need to take the exam. I just want to go to that 3-day course for the advanced som because they drink like crazy shit for 3 days. And every time I see it, I follow them on Twitter and Instagram, and I have crazy FOMO every year. This one time a year. So I kind of just want to go to that, whether I take the exam or not, but I probably wouldn't have been invited. So this gives me a little more time. Can we, I know Rachel's been asking about the Wall Street to All Streets. The trailer is out. Giancarlo wants to play it. Why don't you play the trailer and then we'll hit some earnings? What do you think, Giancarlo? Want to hit it?
I would love nothing more.
Show him.
Sean, I can't even see you guys.
He's right here.
I'm right next to Strazza.
That's Sean.
So JC wanted to send Sean and I to Asia, and the first thing I was thinking was, why?
Recording in progress.
Do you know?
Oh, there you are. Sorry, I for some reason the way the settings were, I couldn't see you guys. What's up, guys?
Hey.
So the plan is Strazza and I are going to go to Southeast Asia to interview traders and people in finance.
Local traders and portfolio managers getting different perspectives, which is going to be different than Jimmy in Cleveland. It's just what it is.
But everybody has to find their own way, or they're not going to be a successful investor.
Wait till you see what happens next.
Been trying to go to the same place for the last 3 hours. We're still moving in the wrong direction.
Wait a minute. We can't just go right into earnings. That was well done there, Giancarlo. Well done. That was nice. Nice job on the trailer. I like it.
If you want to see
like the music.
If you want to see me, Sean, and the boys lost in Asia, running around, no idea what we're doing, this should be great. This should be right up your alley if that's what you're looking for.
Go to wallstreettoallstreets.com. wallstreettoallstreets.com. Check that out. And check out the trailer there. And this is gonna be sick. I had a great opportunity or several opportunities over the years to visit most of these countries and a lot more of them. And I continue to benefit from those experiences, the friends that I met along the way, the cultures that I got to learn more of, the food, of course. And I wanted my guys, Sean and Strazza, to have those same experiences. So, and that was the reason we sent them out there. And I was right. They came back wiser, more thankful, I think, of where they're able to live. Right? Is that true?
And the markets I have access to.
Yeah, it's true. All right. wallstreettoallstreets.com. Check it out. Put in your email so you are the first to be notified when our docuseries is published. But in the meantime, Mr. Strazza, little earnings spotlight. What stood out?
Can I please talk about earnings now?
All right, yourself out, brother.
Let's just go based on the movers here. Square up 16% on earnings.
Wow.
How come they're not on this? They're not on our cute little thing. It's
called Block now, Strazza. I don't know if you got the memo.
Oh, look at it. Yeah, I didn't even recognize that logo right below Apple. Roku, 10%. Expedia, 10%. DraftKings, monster top line beat. Again, I think this is an absolute mega trend. And I couldn't think of a better vehicle or brand to be able to play it through than DraftKings. Everybody seems to be using this for sports betting. Update on my comments from yesterday. I cannot use DraftKings. So sports betting may only be still illegal in 2 states, but there are still restrictions in certain states. Like, for example, in Florida, the Seminole tribe has this whole thing. It's been going on for years. It's like all these court suits. Them in New Jersey, they're fighting over whatever. You can't bet through anybody but the Seminole tribe in the Hard Rock Casino in Florida, as far as I know. So I can't use DraftKings, but everybody I know uses it. And I think this is the beginning of just a super, super secular trend. The beat would attest to that. We have Monster with a slight beat. Uber's today, but they were upgraded. Bill.com.
You don't want to bet against the stupidity of Americans, right? Like all these, like the restaurants that make you fat, you bet on them. The apps that set your money on fire, Americans love setting their money on fire. You know, you want to bet on that. Like, think that way. Like, whatever terrible decisions Americans are able to make, we want to bet on that.
Yeah. Okay. Listen, it's a vice. It's a vice investment. Right. And they tend to be pretty good investments over the long term. So I think it's a really exciting stock, a really exciting story. Coinbase is another one I'm excited about. They got the beat, but it's this quarter isn't about the beats, just like most quarters. It's about the guide. Wall Street, not so excited. Basically, it's flat, right? Because it had a big gain kind of coming into the report, down a little bit here this morning. Yeah, Bill.com, I mentioned that was a big miss. And then Apple. What were the numbers for Apple? Let's just read through them quick. You know that Apple, I was just looking on Stratosphere, actually, and Apple makes more in revenue from watches and AirPods than Netflix does in total revenue from streaming. How about that? You hear that?
I did not know that.
Apple.
How would I know that?
And that's not even their second largest revenue line. The second largest is services, which on a standalone basis would be a Fortune 50 company.
I wanted to show another good chart here. This is Rick's Cabaret. Speaking of Americans making bad decisions, right? Is it not RCI? Why am I getting Rogers Communications? Where's Rick's Cabaret?
So this is a strip club
Oh
operator.
yeah, sorry, it's RICK. Sorry, not RCI. It's RICK. Hold on, let me switch that for you there, Giancarlo. There you go. Sorry.
Stock looks terrible, JC.
Ticker symbol Rick.
Bear market for strip clubs.
Well, I mean, listen, it was a tough beginning of the year for we call them gentlemen's clubs. Strazza,
is that it?
It's a gentlemen's club.
Oh,
and if it's about 55, then this is a $20 billion gentlemen's club. And when you want to talk about American males making bad decisions, spending too much money in places that they should not be, this is one of those. Strazza is going to do a little channel check-in this weekend. Is that right?
I don't even know what their brands are. I have no idea.
If you go to the Gentlemen's Club, you can write it off for tax purposes as research. Right? Right? Is that right or no?
Is that what I should do?
I'm not saying you should do anything. I'm asking, if I were an IRS agent, would I be okay with an investor like yourself writing off those experiences as research?
No, definitely not. I had a friend.
Really?
Well, definitely not. No. People are going to write off what they're going to write off. Doesn't mean that it's allowed.
Why isn't it allowed?
That's not. No, lap dances aren't research, sir. That's why it's not allowed.
I don't know.
Oh, but
What if you're a shareholder?
Hold on. I had a friend who worked for one of the fundamental teams at SAC. He was accountant, and he went on to work for one of the PM teams. He literally, when he started working for those guys, would sit in parking lots for hours at a time and count cars and report back. Like, this is a very real thing. We joke about it, but these channel checks, he would sit there like with his laptop, just in his car, counting cars, counting whatever, and go to like different retailers. And that was his day. Can you imagine that being your job? They get paid great for it. Don't get me wrong, but oh my God.
I mean, don't they take like images of the parking lots and stuff like that? I've seen that, like at
There's gotta be a
Costco
better-
and Walmart.
Listen, this was 10 years ago. They were going. Humans were doing it. Yeah, it's probably changed by now, but it's a thing. Sure. I don't know about at Rick's Cabaret, but Target parking lot. Yeah.
$20 billion in market cap. I mean, that's not nothing, right?
Joel said it's allowable until you get audited. Yeah, everything is, right? I don't know anything about Ray Dalio.
Yeah, I don't know about Dalio, but what about the rest of earnings? Anything else to stand out, or can we move on to a little market action this morning? What's moving?
No, I wouldn't be surprised if Coinbase comes in here today and reverses it. Looks like they already are. And I really throw that coin chart back up because Bitcoin is hot. This is a crypto stock. We have the line drawn at 80. Listen, it's really 84. And it's drawn there for a reason, right through those two spikes that were immediately faded last year and again this year. We ran to the hundreds. But just look at the market reminding us how important this mid 80s level is with all these tests. That's where the current coil has been kind of forming and playing out for the past couple months now since the summer. With earnings behind them, if you get a close above this 84 level, if you were to anchor a VWAP from that second arrow up around 115, right? That's the VWAP from the year-to-date high. It's breaking right here today. I think this one's buyable right here. You could use the pivot highs, use 84, 85, but dude, this is a monster base now. Think about it. Bitcoin above 30, new uptrend, things like Solana starting to work. The alts are waking up. The market's going to get behind Coinbase if this is a new crypto bull market, and the base is there. I mean, what a textbook reversal pattern that's in place. You got the 200-day moving average.
Coinbase and Rick's Cabaret, same market cap. Coinbase and Rick's Cabaret, 20 billion. How do you feel about that?
I think Coinbase.
Which one's undervalued?
Coinbase. Ridiculous. Listen, Coinbase is the winner. If crypto is real, if crypto survives, Coinbase thrives. They are the winner right now, and they will find a way to monetize. And that's their issue right now. They are struggling to find different ways to kind of generate revenue. They made a lot of money on these ICOs and new coin offerings back in the day during the crypto craze of 2020.
Didn't Armstrong just say that they brought in 100 new institutional customers this month?
Yeah, but the revenues are down significantly from the peak of the crypto bull cycle in 21.
Okay, but everybody assumes that, no?
It's as the market becomes more efficient, their fee revenue will be compressed. Same thing that you see on Wall Street, right? Like Schwab, most of their business used to be fees. Now none of their business is fees, right? So that's happening to Coinbase too, but they're aware of the problem and they're looking for alternative revenue sources. The point for the bullish story for a stock like Coinbase is they have the audience, they have the eyeballs, they have the giant customer base, right? They are the trusted broker or exchange for us in America, and they will find a way to monetize that huge, huge audience over time. So above 84, I love it. Coinbase long. I think we talk about this one as a large cap, maybe even a mega cap growth stock in the future, and conversations with Uber and others that are heading in that direction too.
We have a special guest on this Friday afternoon to mix it up a little bit. Giancarlo, play the Ian Cully bumper.
We're going to talk about dollars.
Somebody got to talk about dollars,
y'all.
Somebody got to.
Ooh. Run the bumper.
Run it, baby.
What's happening?
What's happening is that emerging market currencies are ripping in everybody's face, Ian Cully.
We don't care.
They are not as much as the euro. But yeah, the dollar index back below 105.50 right now is that's the story. I think that's the big chart. If we get to close below 105, we not only want to buy stocks aggressively, I think we can lean on tech. We've talked a lot about that recently.
Ian, the EM currency sniffed it out, bro.
Yeah, you know what's funny about that, JC, is that multiple times over the past couple years, I looked to the outperformance or the relative strength in EM currencies, thinking that the dollar was going to roll over, the dollar index was going to roll over, and it never happened. So you got a point. You got a point. You're absolutely right.
It worked this time.
It worked this time. It hasn't worked over the past couple of years, but it definitely worked this time.
It was just odd, right? Everybody thinks the dollar's gonna rip, stock market's about to fall apart, and EM currencies are catching a bid. Like that just didn't make any sense to me, you know?
Yeah.
The dollar didn't make a new high with the 10-year yield making a new high. I mean, I could not have been more obnoxious about it.
No, you're on top of it. No, 100%. I still don't think we're out of the woods yet. You know, it's a couple days of price action. I mean, I don't see what happens next week.
That dollar's got a 104 handle. Woo-wee.
Yeah, if it falls below 104, yeah, it's
105. You know, right? If it falls below 105, forget about it.
Let's be honest, though. The bigger deal has been interest rates here this week. I mean, this is a giant move for rates. I told you about these.
The dollar sniffed it out. The dollar sniffed it out, bro.
I told you bonds were going to rip earlier this week when I talked to you about the auction numbers.
You did.
And I think you were also pointing to utilities and telco, and I'm like, we're not going to get a rally in those things without bonds ripping too. That was my thought. And you were like, oh, I'm like, no.
You're getting it. These telcos look great.
I think Bitcoin sniffed it out,
dude. Bitcoin.
Yeah,
that was the tell. That was
one of the tells. Sure. Yeah, I'll give you that one. That's
Bitcoin,
true.
In hindsight, it's like, wait, so this correction is going to get worse. Small caps are going to break down. Bitcoin is breaking out above 30,000.
Exactly.
Well, I did a little bit on it, Hot Corner Wednesday, where I was saying, you know, you could look at a lot of risk appetite things in the stock market, say it's not great, but then you got Bitcoin just absolutely on a tear. So you can't say risk appetite's bad when Bitcoin is ripping like that. And yeah, I think that
Ian. Now, when we talk about the implications of that weaker dollar, that Freeport McMoron, how about that, huh?
Yeah. Could be digging in, catching higher. Copper too. Energy's looking great. You know, my head was that if, you know, dollar index above, you know, 105, 105.50, you want to be leaning on energy. Below 105, 105.50, you want to lean on tech. I think we definitely can lean on tech, you know, if the dollar index has got that 104 handle. But energy's also doing pretty well. I mean, it did well yesterday. It's having a slow start this morning.
Got to break out.
We'll see how the day plays out.
They got to break out of these ranges.
Yeah,
it's too rangy for me.
Yeah. 100%.
And tech is too good, not overweight. I mean, these stocks just keep working.
Well, in bull markets, historically, tech outperforms almost every time.
The outperformance from big cap tech, not just tech, right? Because if you look at small cap tech versus the broader market, they are not outperforming, they are underperforming. Big cap tech absolutely just destroying anything else from a relative strength perspective. Not even close.
I was promised a crisis. I was told that this was a credit crisis, banking crisis,
no,
inflation crisis.
Nobody told you that. You make
recession.
That up in your head. Yeah, nobody told you that.
I think they told me that, Strazza. They were telling me that.
I wasn't telling you that.
I heard them.
You were not telling me that. Because why would you? Those are not things that you say or even talk about. Because I taught you better than that. But others, however, were promising me a crisis. I'm a blind purple bull, they told me. Purple bull. You must be new here, bro. Good glory. What stands out, Ian? We've exhausted the dollar. We talked about copper. We talked about tech. What about gold, baby? 2,000.
Gold above 2,000. You know, silver was pounding that like 2280 level, 2275 level. And now it's back above 23. It's catching higher too, and that's really what I've wanted to see. In terms of in terms of seeing some sort of risk on bid for precious metals, to see money flowing into those high beta areas. Looking for GDX back above 30. I think that would be extremely constructive.
Oh yeah,
Precious
it's common.
metals,
It's common,
some
Ian.
of these stocks are looking good right now.
Yeah.
Alamos, we've been talking a lot about Alamos.
And
you know, in a very similar way that the NASDAQ, the S&P 500, and the Dow Jones Industrial Average are all back above those early October lows, so is the silver gold ratio.
Yes.
You know what did not get oversold? The silver gold ratio.
Ooh. You know what? I don't think I've been looking at. I don't think I have an RSI on my silver gold ratio. What am I doing? What am I doing, JC?
I don't even know how you live like that. Like you're an animal. Like, how do you do that? You know, throw that RSI on the silver gold ratio, and you're not going to see an oversold condition.
Small caps are really thrusting here. 2-day rate of change in small caps, highest we've seen.
I think Strazza just likes to say the word thrusting.
Well, I'm looking at so many charts.
That's Strazza's safe word.
No, see, I measure thrust differently. I used to spend a lot of time looking at our internal indicators, but now I can more or less tell we're thrusting just by looking at
There
my
it goes again.
Because I know stocks. I know how to read the tape. And I was telling all these guys yesterday, we're thrusting, and you could see all the tweets and the stats being dropped.
Drink.
But I was talking about it like noon yesterday. So
he was
telling me on the phone. He's like asking me questions like, oh, there's only 2 industry groups down. JC, can you guess which ones they are?
You can guess them.
Because I had just gotten back from a doctor's appointment with my kids. They got their vaccines. The boys, you know, they got like 3 or 4 of them, poor kids. They took them like champs, baby.
Yeah.
These are men. These are 1-year-old men taking it like a champ.
They got Moderna'd.
No, we're not giving them that crap. We're giving them like they're doing like the other stuff. Like what is it? I don't even know. They even
There's
said it
so
yesterday.
much. Yeah.
It's like the old stuff, like that would kill people like 100 years ago.
Shingles.
No.
I don't think it's shingles.
Herpes.
No.
I honestly forgot. I forgot what they gave them, but you know, the standard like 1-year-old baby stuff, not the Moderna crap. It didn't work. I'm not gonna give it to my kids.
So guys, don't start now. So micro caps just quietly creeping back to that 100 level that we talked about being so important. Okay, we're gonna have some big.
Use that word, Strazza. Use the word. What are they doing?
Creeping back to the 100 level.
What is that called?
Creeping? You sure they're creeping? What are they doing?
Scooping and scoring? What?
Are they thrusting?
I did a presentation once, and the guys in the analyst chat were laughing at me, and they were saying, drink every time Strazza says thrust when I did my breath presentation.
I think you just like saying that word.
Thrusted. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Giancarlo, hit that recess, baby.
What is it that the kids say? Bussin'. We thrussin'. No?
Do the kids say that? I don't think.
What does that mean?
It means like cool, I think.
I
don't know.
Bussin'.
I just got my tickets for the Dolphins-Jets game on Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. First time ever in the history of the National Football League that they play on Black Friday. To be honest, I don't know what the hell took so long. Seems like a no-brainer. I've got some friends who are working on Friday, like they work like 9-to-5 jobs, and they forgot to take the day off. How much would that suck? Can't even watch the game because you got to be at your bank or whatever. Like,
this is the day after Thanksgiving.
Yeah. You know, so Dolphins at Jets. I like to sit behind the Dolphins sidelines. You know, it's where my wife and I usually sit when we go to the Dolphins Jets game. They play every year.
Have you been to Giant Stadium? You been to the new Giant Stadium?
I have many times. It is nothing special.
It's no SoFi Stadium, that's for sure.
No, not even close, dude. SoFi was ridiculous, bro. That stadium was sick. The MetLife Stadium was obsolete that they built it.
Well, that'll be fun for you. Dolphins' chances looking better and better because it's just like there's no teams emerging as the clear leaders this year in the NFL. So
they play Dolphins, Kansas City in Germany. on Sunday, which works out great because my kid's birthday party is at 2:00 on Sunday.
Oh, sick.
And the Dolphins play at 9:30 a.m., baby. Who's better than me? Come on.
The scheduling gods looking out.
Scheduling guys really hooked me up on that one. And they hooked us up when we were in California. The Dolphins were there in LA the day we had to be there. I mean, it's almost like they consult me before they come out with the schedule. Like by the way, other years it's not this convenient. It's usually way worse. You know, like they play Baltimore on New Year's Eve. Like, I'm not going to go down to Baltimore on New Year's Eve. If it was any other day, I would.
Yep.
So anyway, if you're going to Dolphins Jets Friday, ping me. The Dolphins will be playing the Jets at the stadium that they rent out from the Giants.
They're so exciting to watch right now.
Yeah,
you're not talking
Tua
about
linking up with Hill. I mean, gosh.
I heard
the Dolphins hadn't had an offensive player of the month in 30 years.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And in the first 2 months of this year, the Dolphins had the player of the month. Tua in September, Hill in October.
I heard Tyreek Hill is leading right now in MVP voting, and that would be the first time ever that a wide receiver won that award, which also
is it?
Yeah, which is
sure.
I heard that stat. I saw, how terrible, because
I
what
don't
happens
think
is
so.
whenever a receiver has a blowout year, I guess it's gone to the quarterback, but there have been some years where like Randy Moss had that crazy season where he had all those touchdowns with the Patriots. Jerry Rice has had some absolutely Hall of Fame seasons. So it'd be nice to see a wide receiver win the award. It shouldn't be a quarterback every year.
A wide receiver never won it? Is that true?
How crazy is that?
I'm looking back at all the wide receivers. I see LaDainian Tomlinson, Sean Alexander. Wow, Sean Alexander won MVP. That's crazy.
He had all those yards because he was catching too and running. He had like over 2,000 yards.
Wow, I can't believe it. We've never seen a wide receiver. You're absolutely right. Wow.
I won't lie to you. The things you hear in the barbershop are always true. So I didn't have to fact check it.
Wow, that's crazy. That's insane. Yeah, he might. I mean, Tua's putting up quite the, quite the fight for MVP. 1987, Jerry Rice. Is that true?
I think it's Super Bowl MVP though.
1987 was John Elway. FYI, Jerry Rice was the. Oh, we're talking about the AP. I guess there are multiple MVPs, I suppose. Or there
One
were back then.
MVP. One MVP. We don't need all these awards. They do that with the Rookie of the Year too. And it's
Yeah, no, it was John Elway. Jerry Rice won the Jim Thorpe Trophy, the Sporting News, and whatever PFWA means. The Pro Football Writers of America. I didn't know there was such a thing.
Yeah, who cares about them? So speaking of New York sports, the New York Rangers out here just having a spectacular start to the season, looking like the best team in the NHL.
Funny, the Texas Rangers had the best season. So shout out Rangers. Those of you in Texas. This was the least watched World Series in the history of baseball. Nobody cares about the Texas Rangers, apparently.
I can't remember the last time I watched a World Series.
I mean, if it was the Yankees, more people would watch, but there's just, I mean, I don't know a single Texas Rangers fan. Granted, I've never lived in Texas, but
what, they don't like baseball in Texas? What's wrong with Texas?
They do like baseball in Texas, but nobody else in the country knows where the Texas Rangers play.
Dallas, Austin, where?
You don't know where they play. They play
where?
They play outside Dallas.
Yeah.
Big shout out though to Bruce Bochy. I mean, coming in and taking that team all the way.
Good for them. I mean, they've been waiting for this forever. They've never won anything, right? Yeah. So shout out to Texas Rangers. I loved Nolan Ryan as a kid. So like for me, like that was he was my man. The first book I ever read, Strazza, was Nolan Ryan's Pitching Bible. First book I ever read.
Fact check confirmed from the chat. Bussin' means good, so same as thrussin'.
All right. Well, as long as the chat exists. All right, guys. Listen, we got to hop. Everybody, thank you for being here. Happy Friday, everybody. Enjoy your weekend. This is the most bullish time of the year for stocks, and they showed up to the party, so I hope you did too. See you guys on Monday.
Have a good weekend, everybody.
Thanks, Ian.
See you guys.
Adios.
I can't take no loss. I don't even know what it costs.